this is my first slide, the application of remote sensing, correlation of climatic variability with sea and carbon dioxide exchange to develop sea level variability forecasting models for the over the tropical ocean regions. Well, I will go quickly. The very important thing I want to tell you right in the beginning that if you want to have any innovation in science and technology, you should read every day something no one else is read. You should think every day something new which nobody else is thinking. Do every day something no one else would be doing, and it is bad for the mind to continue with a part of unanimity. I mean, this is the risk of doing any invention for that matter. Now, quickly I come to that. This present investigation aims to understand exchange during extreme atmospheric forcing to air sea carbon dioxide exchange with climate variable, estimating energy and materials like carbon, nitrogen, exchange between the upper and deep ocean and the Pacific Sea. We are talking about the upper sea surface and the deep ocean. We would also like to establish the correlation of climate variability with the sea level variability mechanism, and some dynamics would be computed through the multi-scale ocean atmosphere coupled processes. Now, what are those coupled processes which we will be using? That is the sea level rise, rise of greenhouse gases, temperature absorptions, carbon absorption sinks, and greenhouse gases detoxifiers to check the rising of carbon dioxide and other greenhouse gases in order to develop that sea level variability forecasting models. Now, through sea level variability forecasting models, we call in short SLV-FM, over tropical oceanic section, the studies will be made to investigate atmospheric challenges due to extreme weather events. What are those extreme weather events? Like the mesoscale convecting systems, which already include your tropical cyclones, hurricanes, typhoons, other things, and then global carbon cycle, ocean salinity, and marine pollution resulting due to toxin and toxin gases in the oceanic and the subsurface oceanic regions. As you all know, the ocean circulations and the ocean atmospheric interaction and the inorganic component, these all affect the ocean salinity vis-a-vis the pH value of the ocean water. Now, how this problem has been taken up, you see, it was found that the rising levels of carbon dioxide and other, they are, of course, due to other forces also, but mainly it was found over the transitional areas and the WB's areas over the Pacific regions. Now, what are the transition areas? These are the areas of strong gradients in physical environment that challenge biological community to their physiological limits. These areas are associated with sea level variability mechanism, some mesoscale dynamics, the oceanic areas impacting the climate change dramatically and sooner over the transition area and the homogeneous transition area. And these are the areas where you can see the climate variability or change in the climate. And in the other hand, this western boundary is the main, these are the carbon hotspot where you get the hub of the carbons and in the mid latitude of the northern hemisphere of the Pacific region. Now the WCI means western boundary current or ocean carbon hotspots identified by the largest magnitude from air to air carbon dioxide fluxes in the oceanic incorporated with large spring blooms and eddy activity. These are the hubs for anthropogenic carbon-laden waters into the interior during mode water formation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I must tell you there is hardly any studies as regards the western boundary current over the Pacific regions of mid-latitude in the southern hemisphere. Most of the studies you'll find the Pacific region which falls in the northern hemisphere, but hardly there are studies. Same goes in case of the western boundary current also, or the carbon dioxide hubs area. Studies are available in the northern hemispheric region, but hardly any study in the southern hemisphere region. Now, this to study this, we require the sea surface temperatures, sea level variabilities, and as you all know, all these sea level variability, sea surface temperatures, carbon dioxide hotspot, what we call WBC, they are different magnitude, intensity, frequency in the northern hemisphere, and they are different in the southern hemisphere. And also, you see, while studying long back, I have studied the teleconnections of northern hemisphere features and the southern hemisphere features, and we found that in the southern peninsulas of Indian Peninsula region, if they're in the same longitude, if there is a cyclonic storm in the southern hemisphere, then there is an increase of precipitation was observed during the northeast monsoon. As you are aware, there are two monsoons which we do have over the Asiatic region. One is your southwest monsoon, and the other is northeast monsoon, or popularly also known as winter monsoon. Now, the other thing which I studied was the what is the and I mean the it was a satellite study, obviously, because hardly any data is available of the oceanic region, and particularly in the southern hemispheric region. So the conference zones were studied through the satellites, INSAT as well as satellites. And we also got an opportunity to catch hold when I was in the University of Wisconsin and working in the Space Science Engineering Center. There we had the Defense Meteorological Satellite pictures, kind courtesies of US Air Force. And we worked on that. These are very fine and good resolutions pictures. And there we found that the conference zone in the northern hemisphere are more active and having more convectivity nature than the southern hemisphere. Now, what are the mechanisms underlying the sea exchange? It's crucial to understand large-scale physiological and biogeochemical processes. And since the data is very, paucity of data over the ocean region, so it is mandatory to use the satellites imagery to study these things. Now, very latest study I give you, on the 25th May, I attended the Tropical Pacific Observing Advanced Process Understanding and Representation. This was a workshop virtual, held by Cliver on 25th of May only, and in which I came across the work of Anna Lena. They have studied instability waves in modulating water mass transmission, and they concluded that the tropical Pacific plays an integral part in the coupled global climate system. The other scientist, Dr. Kaka and ETL, they also studied your problems over the Black Sea, climate changes over the Black Sea, which happens due to the overfishing, pollution, rising atmospheric carbon dioxide level, fossil fuels combustion, and also your inaugural level of carbon dioxide. So they also found that these studies do get affected, with the amount of carbon dioxide or the area covered by WBC or even the transition areas. Now, what general methodology we are going to adopt for this study, or rather we adopted in some of the cases, that to study the oceanic atmospheric dynamics and thermodynamics, air exchange process and their interaction with air to sea carbon dioxide in the ocean region, the physical and dynamic process is coupled climate system, and extensive analysis of geostationary satellites as well as the polar satellites. Geostationary was an INSAT, Indian National Satellite, and your GOES and TIRUS was your polar satellite, and the DMSP was also polar orbiting satellites. This DMSP imagery is just like your X-ray films, and the resolution is so good, you can see by analyzing on even the computer screen very nicely. You can analyze like any medical physician where the system, where the clusters, and where the mesoscale convective system. Now, in order to correlate the subdynamics, ice sheet stability, ice and bedrock cornering, sheet modeling, ice sheet processes, as you know, there are physical processes, chemical processes, biological processes, oceanic gases. These studies were done through the computation of sea level variability mechanisms, second, submesoscale dynamics, and third was climate variability by developing your OSIRS, which you all know, Ocean System Stability and Synchronization. Well, the WBC the western boundary current or the hotspot carbon dioxide includes the satellite imagery with emphasis on the kinematic and thermodynamic behavior of selected mesoscale convective system. These intense cloud clusters, these cloud clusters first studies over the Pacific and the Gate region by Professor Somi, Martin, and Sixer sometime in the 80s. And later on, when I joined the team, I have studied the first time these intense cloud clusters over your tropical regions, that is over the right from 70° east, starting from 120° east South China to Arabian Sea, and from 20° north to 20° south, we studied the cloud clusters, and we found that with the higher lifetime, with the higher size of the cloud cluster, they were also sometimes matching with the monsoon depressions. Well, this is also we studied the lifetime distribution, trajectory, size, and we did the time series analysis. And we also studied the three-dimensional structure. There's the vertical structure of these systems. I am talking about thunderstorms and the monsoon depression by computing the vertical extent of these systems. The kinetics studies were done over the local regions, regional regions, and at the global levels. And to study these things, we extracted the sea surface temperatures. We also computed the Windico measurements through the satellite imagery by using the MCIDIS, that is the Man-Computer Interaction Data Access System, to bring out a few. And our aim was to frame some optimum values of these systems, of these mesoscale systems, and see what is the reaction with the air-sea interaction. Now, another idea came in the mind that why not to study all these studies to be made over the tropical oceanic regions rather only on the mid-latitude regions, which we talked in the beginning. So almost the same procedure, the same methodology was adopted to study this carbon dioxide and climate change variability over the transitional areas, over the hotspot carbon area. And this time, Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere both were taken into consideration, and then their correlation was established over the region of your Indian Ocean regions or your Atlantic, even Pacific region, and the North Indian Ocean region. So the whole spectra was developed and the comparative study was done. Now, what are the steps we have taken to evolve this sea level variability forecast models? Means you can forecast how the carbon dioxide fluxes would be changing, how the hot spots will be changing, how the exchange will be taking place, and how long it will be. So this was done by over tropical ocean regions with driving the sea surface temperatures values, carbon dioxide fluxes, and then they were correlated, and the 1 degree by 1 degree, the grid points. This 1 degree grid was chosen, and and then as I talked to you earlier, the digital images from the satellite were analyzed in the movie loop sequence by computer-controlled image storage display, which is also known as Man-Computer Interaction Data Access System. And we could find what are the evolutionary features responsible for these systems. And next, we also measured the vorticity, divergence, making use of mean values of U and V components in the Lagrangian frame. We also use the drop wind sonde data and Windico measurements, means measuring the wind speeds right from the satellite imagery, right from the low level, even we went up to 40,000 feet, because to meet tomorrow the stratospheric flying. Also 3 to 6 hours sounding surface, Dobson window, and integration of this all surface sounding was done, and this how the things were developed. And then after having studied, we thought, why not to have the correlation of oceanic region and the cryospheric region? Till now, we are only talking about
excuse me,
the sea level. Just 1 minute, please. Just 1 minute left. In 1 minute. And then we took the cryospheric region, as you know, and we measured all these parameters over that, and then we correlated. And lastly, I will just tell you the marine pollution and oceanic acidification, which is due to the carbon dioxide absorbed by sea, carbonic acid, soft corals of the reef, and the water pollution due to chemical, physical, biological radiations, particulate matter, and pesticide, contaminants of water, water gets polluted to microplastic. All these things, but I taught, because this will be the effects of this. And for this, we have to use the toxin receptors. We have to use your this bitumen for the plastic pollution. We can use this plastic by bitumen laying the roots. And with this, now I was just finished, and in 1 minute, now this was the conventional model we developed. Now, if we want to have a numerical with these weather prediction models, then we have to use the initialization, computation, parameterization, and the prediction techniques. And we can also produce the sea level variability, the numerical prediction model. Thank you very much. Very nice of you. I think I complete my 50 minutes plus 1 minute more.